In the quiet corner of a spiral galaxy, a peaceful planet called Valara floated under twin suns. It was home to the Valari, a gentle and intelligent alien species with soft blue skin and glowing eyes. The Valari believed in peace, learning, and harmony with nature. They built shining cities, floating gardens, and tall crystal towers. They never prepared for war. Why should they? The stars were supposed to be safe. But that changed when the Gralnox arrived. The Gralnox were not like the Valari. They were a cruel, war-loving race with black ships, sharp weapons, and no mercy. They didn't speak, didn't ask, didn't care. They came to conquer. Their large warships blocked the sky. Their ground troops destroyed cities. The Valari screamed, but no one heard them. Their small defense systems fell in minutes. Their leaders, once proud and wise, now sat in underground bunkers, unsure if tomorrow would come. The Gralnox demanded surrender or extinction. They gave the Valari one day to decide. In desperation, the Valari sent out an SOS signal, an ancient emergency broadcast that traveled faster than light. It was a message of fear sent through every known galactic frequency. A message that said, to anyone who hears this, please help us. Our world burns. We are not soldiers. We have no weapons. Please, anyone. The Valari didn't expect much. The Galactic Council, a group of powerful alien empires, had ignored them before. Even when the Gralnox were first spotted, the Council refused to help. The Valari were too far away, too small, too unimportant. But the message went farther than they imagined. In another part of the galaxy, on the edge of a dark and forgotten star system, the signal reached a silent satellite. This satellite was old. Its metal body was covered in ice and dust, but inside it still worked. It belonged to a strange, secretive species no one had seen in centuries. The signal entered the machine. It was decoded. It was understood. And it was forwarded to a blue and green planet called Earth. On Earth, deep under the ground in a hidden military base, the signal reached Central Command. Red warning lights blinked. An AI voice said, Priority 1 SOS detected. Signal origin, Valari homeworld. Status, planetary attack in progress. Admiral Reyna Kyle, a tall woman with gray hair and cold eyes, stepped into the command room. She read the message silently. A young officer asked, Ma'am, should we ignore it like the Council does? Kyle turned slowly. Her voice was calm, but it held power. No. They asked for help. That changes everything. The officer looked confused. But it's not our problem. They're not human. Kale looked out the window at the stars above. They sent an SOS, and we're the ones who heard it. With a wave of her hand, she gave the command. Wake the fleet. Far above Earth, hidden in the shadow of a moon, an enormous space station came to life. Inside it were ships, not ordinary ships, but Deathworlder warships, built by humans in secret. These were the ships Earth had hidden after the first contact with the galaxy had gone wrong. Long ago, when humans first met other aliens, they had offered friendship. But the Galactic Council saw Earth as dangerous, a death world. Its gravity, weather, and wildlife were too harsh. Its people were too strong, too fast, too clever, and too unpredictable. The Council tried to keep humans away from the galaxy, so Earth hid. They built their own weapons, their own fleets, their own path. They waited until someone cried for help. Admiral Kyle stood on the bridge of the human flagship, the Iron Howl. Its hull was dark, with red, glowing lines running through it like veins. Its weapons could destroy moons. Its shields could survive a supernova. Kyle looked at her crew. The galaxy thinks we're sleeping. Let's wake them up. The 10th Terran Armada began to launch. From orbiting shipyards, massive vessels began to move. Some looked like floating cities, others looked like flying beasts. Every ship had a name: Wrathborn, Stormfist, Silent Hammer, Firewing. Inside, human soldiers prepared. Pilots checked their ships. Engineers warmed up engines. Marines cleaned their armor, painted with ancient Earth symbols: wolves, lions, dragons, eagles. A young Marine named Juno Ryall smiled as he loaded his gear. "Finally," he said, "we get to show them who we really are." Meanwhile, back on Valara, the situation grew worse. The Gralnox had started bombing again. Whole cities disappeared in fire. The Valari tried to hide, but their world was open and soft. Their people were not made for war. Elder Thalen, leader of the Valari Council, sat with others in a crystal chamber deep underground. His hands trembled. "No one is coming," he said. "The council has abandoned us." But young Terran, a bright Valari student, looked up with hope. "What if someone else heard? What if there's a power out there we don't know?" Thalen shook his head. "Then we better pray they are kind." In the dark space between stars, the human fleet entered warp space. It tore through the galaxy like a storm. Their course was set: Valara. As they traveled, the ship's AI system studied the enemy. They downloaded every bit of data from the SOS signal. The Gralnox were strong, yes, but they were not ready for Earth's fury. On the Iron Howl, Admiral Kale gave her final orders. "No mercy for those who kill the helpless," she said. "Protect the Valari. Eliminate the Gralnox. Show the galaxy what happens when a Deathworlder hears a scream." On the edge of the Valari star system, alarms rang on Gralnox warships. Their sensors detected strange ships approaching. The Gralnox commander laughed. "Another weak race comes to die? Good. We'll crush them too." But then the readings came in. The ships were bigger than anything they had seen. Their energy levels were off the charts. The Gralnox technician whispered, This isn't a council fleet." A shadow passed across the stars. A fleet of black metal giants appeared. They moved in perfect silence, like predators, and at the front was a ship that glowed like a burning eye, the Iron Howl. The Deathworlders had arrived. The black metal ships of the 10th Terran Armada flew across the stars like silent beasts. There was no music, no celebration, no speeches, just focus, just preparation. Inside the massive flagship, Iron Howl, Admiral Reyna Kyle stood tall. Her silver-gray uniform was sharp. Her eyes, cold like steel, scanned the maps floating in the air. The Valari planet was still far, but the fleet was moving fast, faster than any other race could travel. Her officers waited. She turned and said, "This isn't a rescue mission. This is a message to the galaxy. They asked for help. We are the wrong species to answer, but we're answering anyway." Her voice echoed across the fleet as she opened a broadcast channel. Every ship, every soldier, every pilot heard her words. "We are Deathworlders. We don't come in peace. We come in protection, and we never run." At the far end of the fleet, Juno Ryall, the young Marine from Earth, tightened the straps on his armor. It was black with red lines, matching the ship design. His helmet showed a wolf's mouth painted in white. He laughed and turned to his partner. "Sergeant Ava Lynn, a quiet but strong woman who always checked her gear twice. Think they've ever seen armor like this?" Juno asked. Ava replied, "They've never seen anything like us." The Marines stood inside a troop carrier named Fangs of Earth. There were 10 more just like it. Each was filled with soldiers ready to drop into enemy territory if needed. Back on Valara, the Valari people still waited underground. The sky above was dark with smoke. Craters filled the once beautiful valleys. Fires burned where gardens used to bloom. Elder Thalen sat with the other leaders, listening to distant explosions. "Our time is ending," he said softly. But young Terran was staring at the sky. He saw something move, bright lights, like falling, stars, far away beyond the Gralnox fleet. He gasped. "They're here." In space, the Gralnox Armada began to detect strange energy. Their computers beeped loudly. Their commanders yelled orders. No one knew what was happening. Then the Iron Howl exited warp. It was massive, as long as a small moon. Its sides were smooth and dark, but its engines glowed red. Around it came other ships, dreadnoughts, cruisers, stealth destroyers, carrier ships filled with fighters and troop carriers. The Growlnock's commander, a tall creature with spiked armor and yellow eyes, laughed. These ships are large, but it doesn't matter. No species dares to face us! He sent a message to the unknown fleet. Turn back or be destroyed! This is your only warning! Seconds later, the Iron Howl responded. Admiral Kale's face appeared on their screen. Calm, serious, and human. You attacked the helpless. You ignored their cry. We heard it. You made a mistake. We are the Deathworlders. We don't warn. We end threats. She gave the signal. All human ships activated weapons. The battle began. Human warships fired with perfect aim. Red beams of plasma cut through. Growlnock's shields like paper. Railguns launched metal slugs at high speed, ripping through armor. Missiles flew in waves, each one smart, each one deadly. The Growlnocks returned fire, but their weapons did little. Human ships had reactive armor, energy absorption fields, and auto-repair systems. Even when hit, they kept moving, kept firing. Inside the Iron Howl, Admiral Kale watched the battle unfold. She showed no emotion. Sector 3 cleared, her officer said. Good, Kale replied. Push into Sector 4. Don't let them regroup. Meanwhile, human fighters launched from carriers. Small, fast, and sharp like knives, they danced through the enemy ships. Each fighter was controlled by a pilot and an AI working together. They moved like they could read each other's thoughts. Juno Ryle and Ava Lynn waited for their signal. Then, the light on the wall turned green. Drop team, move out! A voice shouted. The Fangs of Earth troop carrier flew toward a Growlnock's battleship. The humans didn't just want to destroy, they wanted to capture data, take control, and show. The enemy they could fight from the inside. As they neared the enemy ship, Juno checked his weapon. Let's show them what humans do when someone cries for help. The drop doors opened. The Marines jumped into the dark. The Volari watched from a distance. Their underground cameras showed strange ships flying above the clouds. They saw explosions in space. The Growlnock's warships, once terrifying, were now burning or fleeing. Terran stood in awe. They're not like the others, he whispered. They don't run, they fight for us. Elder Thalen blinked slowly. No, they fight like the battle is personal. Inside the Growlnock's battleship, the Marines landed with powerful shocks. They moved like ghosts, fast and silent. The enemy was strong, but the humans were trained for worse. They had faced monsters on their own Deathworld. This was nothing new. Juno led the charge, blasting through doors, clearing halls. Ava hacked into the control systems, copying enemy data. Within minutes, the entire section of the ship belonged to them. A Growlnock soldier tried to surprise Juno, but the young Marine rolled aside and shot him down with one clean blast. Clear, he yelled. Data secured, Ava added. The Marines returned to their ship and flew back to the fleet. Mission complete. Back in space, the Growlnock's fleet was broken. Ships exploded one by one. Some tried to flee, but human destroyers chased them. There was no escape. The last Growlnock's commander sent a message. Who are you? Kyle answered. The ones who listened. After the battle, silence fell. The human fleet surrounded Valara, forming a protective net. No more enemies could enter. Medical ships landed on the surface. Human doctors, machines, and aid teams began helping the injured. The Volari walked out of their bunkers slowly, carefully. For the first time in days, the sky was not burning. Terran met a human medic. She smiled and handed him clean water. He had never seen such kindness from a species with warships. Elder Thalen walked to Admiral Kale, who stood by her shuttle. You came, Thalen said, almost in disbelief. Kale nodded. We heard your SOS. But why? You are Deathworlders. The Council says you're dangerous. Kyle looked into the distance. Maybe we are. But we don't ignore a cry for help. That night, the Volari cities lit up again. People hugged. Children laughed. The Growlknots were gone, but across the stars, the Galactic Council watched with fear. Their monitors showed the battle. Their spies listened to Kale's words. The humans moved fast, one council member said. Too fast. They were hiding their power, said another. They broke the law. No, said the oldest member. They answered a call we refused to hear, and now the galaxy has changed. Far above Valara, the Iron Howl rested in orbit. Admiral Kale stood alone on the observation deck, watching the planet below. Her officer walked up. Mission successful, Admiral. Kyle nodded. Good, but it's not over. What's next? Kyle turned. Now we find others who asked for help and were ignored. The sky above Valara was calm. The fire was gone. The smoke had cleared. People walked the streets again, looking up, amazed. For the first time in weeks, there was hope. The Volari survivors began to rebuild their homes. Human medics, engineers, and machines helped them. Tall robot arms lifted heavy stones. Small drones cleaned the air. Human doctors treated the wounded with tools the Volari had never seen before. Elder Thalen watched everything quietly. He had lived a long life, but he had never seen anything like this. These humans, he whispered to himself. They are dangerous. But they saved us. Beside him, young Terran smiled. They didn't ask for anything. No payment, no control. They just came. Thalen nodded. Yes, but why? Why would a species from a death world care about us? Before Terran could answer, the sky lit up again. But this time, it wasn't fire. It was trouble. Far above Valara, the Iron Howl sat in orbit like a sleeping beast. Its hull glowed dim red. Its engines hummed softly. Inside, Admiral Rayna Kale was looking at the new reports. An officer walked in quickly. Admiral, new ships just entered the system. Not Growlknots, not Council, unknown signatures. Kale turned to the screen. Put it up. A hologram of space appeared. A group of sleek silver ships was flying straight toward them. Their design was smooth, like art. Not meant for war, but fast. A message came in. This is High Commander. Zorak Tel of the Genvathi Union, member of the Galactic Council. You are in violation of Council law. Explain your presence. Kyle folded her arms. So now they come, she said coldly. The Galactic Council had finally responded, but not to help the Volari. They came because they were afraid. The humans had done what no one else dared, fight back without permission, and they had won. The Genvathi Union ships circled the human fleet, sending more messages. They demanded answers. They asked for surrender. They warned of consequences. Admiral Kyle sent only one reply. We answered a cry for help. If that breaks your laws, then your laws are broken. The Genvathi were shocked. No species had ever spoken to them like that. They sent another message, this time colder. Then, prepare to be punished. Inside the Iron Howl, Kyle looked at her crew. They don't want war, but they want us gone. Show them we won't be pushed. Orders, Admiral? Asked the weapon officer. Kyle didn't blink. Lock weapons. Target only engines and weapons. No killing unless they fire first. Meanwhile, the Volari were watching from their planet. The sky once again showed ships moving above them, but this time they didn't know who was coming. Terran looked at the sky with worry. Are those more enemies? Thalen's voice was heavy. No. Those are the ones who should have helped us in the first place. But they didn't, Taran said. Now they come to stop the ones who saved us. Thalen closed his eyes. That is the way of the galaxy. Power fears what it cannot control. In space, the Genvathi fleet moved closer. They didn't fire, yet. But the threat was clear. They had more ships, more numbers, and better diplomatic power. But they didn't understand humans. Humans didn't care about politics. They cared about action. One of the Genvathi ships locked weapons on a human cruiser. A warning shot was fired, meant to scare, not to harm. That was the first mistake. Instantly, the human cruiser, Stormclaw, responded with a defense strike. A sharp blue beam shot from its cannon and hit the Genvathi ship's weapon system. No. Lives lost. But the weapon was gone. Alarms screamed across both fleets. The battle had started. Admiral Kale stepped forward. "All ships, defensive fire only. Take out their guns, leave their engines. Show them we're not here to destroy, but we won't run." The stars above Valara turned bright again. Beams of light flew across space. Human and Genvathi ships danced in battle. It wasn't like the fight with the Growlnox. This was more careful, more controlled. Human ships were smaller in number, but stronger in power. Their shields held. Their weapons were fast. Their coordination was perfect. The Genvathi were skilled, but not used to being challenged. They lost 3 weapon systems in 5 minutes. They tried to surround the Iron Howl, but the Earth Dreadnought simply teleported 5 kilometers away, using experimental warp jump technology. No species had ever seen that before. In one of the Genvathi ships, Commander Zorak Tel shouted, "These humans, they fight like they were made for it." His officer replied, "We must retreat, sir. Our systems are failing." Zorak's pride burned. "We are the Council! We do not run!" But then his screen showed something terrifying. A message from Earth, from Admiral Reyna Kale. She stood in her command room, eyes cold. "Stop now. We don't want to fight you, but we will not leave. The Valari asked for help. We are helping. That's all. If you fire again, we will end this battle in 30 seconds. Zorak froze. He saw the wreckage of his ships. He saw the clean, controlled way the humans had disabled their weapons without killing anyone. He knew she was not bluffing. Finally, the Genvathi ships powered down weapons. They sent a last message. "This isn't over." Kale answered, "It never is." The enemy fleet turned and left the system. On Valara, the Valari watched as the sky cleared again. Terran shouted with joy, "They're leaving! We won again!" Elder Thalan smiled for the first time in days. "No, the humans won. But they did it for us." Later that night, Admiral Kale stood in the Iron Howl's observation deck. The stars were quiet again, but her mind wasn't. Her officer walked in. "Admiral, we've received messages. 10 more. Distress calls. Other small species under attack, some ignored for years." Kyle took a deep breath. "Plot the course. We'll go to the next one." In the shadows of the galaxy, other races watched. Some cheered for the humans, others feared them, and some began to plan. The name Deathworlders now meant something new. Not monsters, not destroyers, but defenders. They were strong. They were terrifying. But they fought for the weak, and now the galaxy knew. When you send an SOS, you never know who will answer. The stars around Valara were quiet once again. No enemy ships, no battles, just peace. But peace did not mean safety. Inside the massive Earth ship, the Iron Howl, Admiral Reyna Kyle stood alone in the war room. A new map glowed before her. 10 red dots scattered across the galaxy. Each one was a cry for help. Each one was a place the Galactic Council had ignored. Her eyes were sharp, focused. "These aren't just lost worlds," she said quietly. "They are test grounds, targets, left behind by the powerful." Her officer, Commander Varric, stood beside her. "What shall we do, Admiral?" Kale answered without blinking. "We do what we always do. We go. On the surface of Valara, rebuilding," had started. Human and Valari teams worked side by side. New buildings rose. Clean water flowed again. Smiles slowly returned to the people's faces. Young Terran, the curious Valari student, was learning Earth's language with help from a human medic named Sarah Holt. She showed him how to use medical tools and healing drones. "You heal even after war," Terran said in wonder. Sarah smiled. "That's the point of winning. Not to rule, but to rebuild." Elder Thalen watched from a distance. His old eyes studied the humans carefully. He trusted them now, but he also had questions. Later, that day, Admiral Kale came down to meet the Valari leaders. She wore her long black uniform, simple and clean, no medals, no shining armor. She entered the crystal hall where the Valari Council met. Thalen greeted her with a nod. "Admiral Kale, you have our deepest thanks." Kale bowed her head slightly. "We came because you called." "But why?" Thalen asked. "Others heard too. They ignored us. What makes your people different?" Kale looked around, thinking for a moment. Then she answered, "Earth is a death world. Our planet made us strong. Storms, wild beasts, volcanoes, freezing winters. We had to survive. We had to fight. But we learned something else too. Those who survive alone become monsters. Those who help others become human." Thalen looked deep into her eyes. "And now, you help strangers across the stars." Kale nodded. "Because one day, we might be the ones calling for help." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, deep inside the Galactic Council Hall, a meeting was being held. The chamber was large and full of light. Many powerful species sat in floating chairs, speaking in their own languages, through translators. At the center was High Speaker Varnox, a tall, silver-skinned alien with 6 eyes. He slammed his staff on the floor. "We must talk about Earth," he said. "The Deathworlders are moving. They're not hiding anymore." The room filled with angry voices. "They destroyed the Gralnox. They fought the Genvathi fleet. They broke council laws. But they saved the Valari. That doesn't matter. They act without permission. They are too dangerous. They are too bold." Then, silence. A small voice spoke up. It was Senator Rilani, a soft-voiced alien. "From a peaceful water world. Perhaps we should have helped the Valari first. Maybe Earth did what we feared to do." The room fell quiet. Varnox growled. "If we let Earth continue, more weak races will follow them. The Council's power will break." Another member asked, "What can we do? Attack Earth? That would start a war," Varnox whispered. "We don't attack. We divide. We spread doubt. We turn allies into enemies." Back on Valara, strange things began to happen. A drone ship crashed in the forest. It wasn't human. It wasn't Valari, but it had no ID. When humans studied it, they found something worse: hidden surveillance tech. Someone was spying. Later, a message appeared on public screens. It said, "Earth's help comes with a price. Beware their steel hands. You are not free." The Valari were confused. Who sent the message? Why now? Elder Thalen called a meeting with Admiral Kyle. "They are trying to turn us against each other," Thalen said. Kale nodded. "Yes, this is council work. They fear us, so they try to break our unity." Terran asked, "What will you do?" Kale looked at them both. "Stay strong. If they want to whisper lies, we will speak truth. We will not stop." That night, Kyle sent a message across galactic public channels. Her face appeared on screens in stations, planets, and ships all across the stars. "This is Admiral Raina Kale of Earth. You fear us. You should. We are Deathworlders. Our world made us hard. But we are not monsters. We do not conquer. We do not rule. We protect. If you cry for help, we will come. If you raise a hand in peace, we will shake it. But if you burn the helpless, we will stop you." The message ended, and the galaxy listened. Meanwhile, the Gralnox survivors were not idle. The broken pieces of their fleet had escaped to a secret system at the edge of space. There, they rebuilt and planned revenge. Their new leader, Warlord Kernak, stood before a line of ships under construction. Earth humiliated. Us, he growled. They are not gods. They bleed like others. His second-in-command asked, "What is the plan?" Kernak grinned. "We will not fight them head-on. We will strike where it hurts. They're allies." Back on Valara, Admiral Kale prepared the fleet for travel. Commander Varric entered her quarters. "Admiral, we have full data from the crashed drone. It's Council tech, there's no doubt." Kyle's eyes narrowed. "So it begins. Lies, shadows, tricks." Varric asked, "Shall we stay here and protect Valara?" Kyle shook her head. "No. We made them strong. We gave them the tools. Now we must move on." Varric nodded. "Where next?" Kyle opened the star map again. 10 red dots glowed. She pointed at one. "There. The planet is called Zera 9. They've been crying for years." Varric saluted. "The fleet is ready." Before she left, Kale met Taryn and Thalen one last time. Taryn gave her a small, glowing crystal. "To remember us," he said. Kale took it gently. "I won't forget." Thalen said, "Go well, Admiral, and thank you for giving us hope." Kale nodded. "Hope is something the galaxy forgot. It's time we bring it back." As the Iron Howl and the Terran fleet rose into the stars, the Valari people watched them go. Children waved, mothers prayed, leaders promised to keep the peace, and, deep in their hearts, they knew Earth had changed everything. Across the stars, whispers grew louder. The Deathworlders are moving again. Another planet saved. The Council is losing control. Maybe, just maybe, humans are the guardians we needed all along. The sky above the capital city of Arcanus Prime was filled with warships, hundreds of them. Some were sleek and black like knives, others were blocky and heavy like flying fortresses. But all of them had one thing in common: they were human-made. General Huron, leader of the Arcanus Defense Council, stood on the grand balcony of the Council Tower, his 3 eyes watching the sky in silent terror. The Deathworlders had arrived. They had answered the SOS signal that was never meant for them, and now the entire galaxy was watching. The humans had not attacked immediately. They waited. For 3 days their fleet hovered in orbit, silent, unmoving, like a pack of predators watching weak prey. Then a single message was sent. "Prepare for contact. Humanity will speak." The council chamber was full of tension. Delegates from many alien worlds had come. Some came out of guilt, others out of fear. A few came just to witness history. At exactly midday, a golden shuttle descended from the sky and landed at the base of the tower. 4 humans stepped out, each wearing dark uniforms with silver edges. They looked calm, serious, controlled. At their front walked a tall woman with gray eyes. Her name was Admiral Sarah Voss, commander of the Deathworlder fleet. The stories said she had survived the crushing gravity of black hole training. Some even whispered she had led human forces during the siege of Varnus, where an entire star system had been won in a single day. She entered the chamber with slow steps, not rushed, not afraid. "Admiral Voss," General Horan greeted, trying to keep his voice firm. "We thank you for coming." "We are not here for thanks," she replied coldly. "We are here for judgment." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Voss walked to the center of the room. Her gaze swept across every face, every alien who sat in luxury while others had died crying for help. "You sent an SOS across the stars," she began, her voice like a blade. "It was picked up by Earth, decoded by our deep space channels. We responded, but not out of kindness. We responded because of the message itself." She turned to one of her officers, who activated a floating screen. The original SOS transmission played screams, explosions, desperate voices begging for mercy. Then came the voice of a female, a Varnari scientist speaking fast as gunfire closed in. "This is not a war zone. We are unarmed. Please, anyone, if you're out there, we need help. The council abandoned us. They said it wasn't their responsibility. Please, humans, Deathworlders, anyone. Please." The message ended. Silence followed. Voss looked directly at Haran. She was 23. Her name was Mara Dan. She died 5 seconds after sending that message. She was a xenobiologist, peaceful, harmless. She trusted someone would hear her. "Admiral," Haran said, "what happened on Varnis was unfortunate. But we were told not to interfere." "By whom?" Voss snapped. "By your own comfort? By treaties meant to protect your seats in this chamber?" A second officer brought up satellite footage. Entire cities burning, refugee ships being shot down, ground forces laughing as buildings exploded. "These images were not collected by us," Voss said. "They were taken by your own satellites. You saw everything, and you chose silence." A Jexari diplomat stood. "With respect, humans have no right to judge our politics." Voss faced him. "You're right. We don't care about your politics. But when innocent lives call for help, when they ask for humans, we listen, we come. That is the rule of Deathworlders." Then she pressed a button. A third screen showed something shocking. Footage of human ships arriving at Varnis, troops landing, medical teams helping survivors, engineers rebuilding what they could, and one by one, survivors saluting the human flag, not from fear, but from deep respect. "You let a planet die," Voss said. "We brought it back." The chamber was dead silent. No one moved, no one dared speak. Then Voss turned and faced the room again. "Now we offer you a choice." A soft sound echoed as a small device floated down from her shuttle. It projected a glowing symbol, a star with a black ring around it. "This is the mark of the Pact of Earth, a new alliance. One built not on power or wealth, but on response. If a call for help is heard, it will be answered. No excuses, no politics, just action." She raised her eyes. "If your species chooses to join, you will be expected to act the same. If you see suffering, you stop it. If you hear a cry for help, you respond." General Haran stood still. "And if we refuse?" Voss narrowed her eyes. "Then we will never come again. Not to fight, not to help, not to trade. You will be ignored, forgotten, alone." She pointed toward the skies. "Our fleet will protect the pact. Not just with weapons, but with action. The galaxy will change, one way or another." Then, for the first time since she arrived, her voice softened. "When we arrived at Varnis, a child gave one of our soldiers a drawing. It showed a human warship with the words, 'Hope from the sky.' That's what we became." She stepped back. "You must decide. What will you become?" 2 weeks later, the chamber had met every day since the humans left. Debates, protests, anger, fear, but also hope. In the end, 73 species signed the Pact of Earth. Not all, but many. A new station was built, the Beacon of Response, where distress signals would now be sent directly to Deathworlder forces. Human engineers trained alien crews. Human medics taught alien doctors how to respond in dangerous zones. And, slowly, piece by piece, the galaxy began to heal. The Deathworlder fleet still hovered above in quiet watch. They didn't smile, they didn't celebrate, they just stayed ready. And whenever a new signal came through, they responded. Final scene. Peaceful planet on the edge of the galaxy. A mining colony in trouble, an old machine breaks and oxygen starts running low. The people send out a call. It doesn't take long. A single human warship enters orbit. It sends supplies, tools, and engineers. The colony's children gather outside, looking at the sky. One of them asks, "Who are they?" His mother smiles, tears in her eyes. They are the ones who answer. End of part 5. End of story.